Part 23. Opposition from the Quraysh. The people of Mecca did not have one ruler. Instead, they deferred to a council of senior figures. Their rule can be described as a form of aristocracy. Each tribe had a leader, and each leader held a seat on this senior council. The leader of the Banu Hashim was Abu Talib, so the Quraysh tried to appeal to him. Abu Talib calmed their moods and briefly stalled them. A few weeks later, as the dawah continued to spread, they returned to him, this time with intensified efforts. They tried to cajole him, bribe him, and even threatened him. The Prophet condemned idolatry. The Quraysh took this as a personal attack and equated it to a condemnation of their culture, way of life, and honor. They gave Abu Talib an ultimatum: either stop him from preaching or hand him over. This ultimatum was significant, as Abu Talib had never been confronted in such a manner before. Tribal law dictates that they cannot do anything to the Prophet without the tribe leader's consent, lest they be subject to dishonor and ridicule. Abu Talib returned to the Prophet and said,
"O my nephew, my people have approached me and told me such and such. So be merciful to yourself and be merciful to me. Do not place me in a situation that I cannot bear."
The Prophet responded in the most profound manner, "O my uncle, by Allah, if they were to give me the sun in my right hand and the moon in my left, I cannot give up this message until I succeed, or I am martyred." In another narration he said, "Do you see the sun in the sky, O uncle? By Allah, I have no more power to stop preaching than you have to light your walking stick with the sun." When Abu Talib saw the Prophet's persistence in his actions, passion in his eyes, and sincerity in his speech, he replied,
"Do as you wish, my nephew, for by Allah I will never approach you again, asking you to stop."
Indeed, Abu Talib fulfilled his word until his death, even when ridiculed, boycotted, and expelled. The Quraysh then gathered and approached Abu Talib once more, this time in their entirety, not just Banu Hashim. They proposed an offer.
"We have chosen the most noble young man in Mecca, Al-Umara ibn al-Walid, the son of al-Walid ibn al-Mughira, the chieftain of the Banu Makhzum clan. Our offer is to exchange one son for the other. You adopt Al-Umara in exchange for your nephew."
Abu Talib was livid with this proposition.
"What an evil bargain! You want me to fatten up your son in exchange for you to kill mine?"
Mutim ibn Adi then spoke out,
"Your people have done all they can and exhausted all their means. You must choose an option."
This was a weighty remark, as this senior figure was the last person to remain neutral, and his decision to side with the Quraysh meant that the entirety of Mecca was against one single man. Abu Talib's bravery in this regard is unparalleled, as the next step would be to overthrow a tribe leader, an unprecedented move. Abu Talib stood firm in his brave support. He said,
"O Mutim, this is a plot you have hatched. Do as you please, for I will not stand down."
Abu Talib then composed a series of poems of the highest caliber of eloquence chastising the Quraysh, accusing them of treachery. Abu Talib's poetry was so powerful and moving that it caused the Quraysh to momentarily back down and de-escalate. Abu Talib's strength and dignity and his sincerity saved the Prophet by the will of Allah when there was no other way out. The Prophet did not love anyone more than he did Abu Talib. He served as his father and mother in one, raising, supporting, and nurturing him his whole life. Abu Talib was so beloved to the Prophet and the companions that years later at the conquest of Mecca, when Abu Bakr's father, Abu Quhafa, accepted Islam near the end of his life, Abu Bakr wept and said to the Prophet,
"O Messenger of Allah, how I wish that this hand was the hand of your uncle Abu Talib rather than the hand of my own father."
Alas, Abu Talib never converted to Islam despite the Prophet's most desperate pleas. Indeed, Allah's wisdom reigned supreme. Had Abu Talib converted, he would have been deposed as chieftain, and the dawah would have been crushed. Moreover, it clearly demonstrates both the sincerity and limitation of our Prophet. Only a sincere messenger would accept this fate despite the emotional impact. Moreover, he is a slave of Allah, not a god. Only Allah himself can guide.